Welcome to the Neighbourhood Development Plan public consultation. The purpose of today is to showcase the work of the Neighbourhood Development Plan Steering Group and to give you, the residents of Torpoint, the opportunity to look at the work to date. A team of local volunteers have been working hard on this project since March, and many of them are here today to answer any of your questions. I am pleased to welcome Neil Emery of Clinton Emery Design, who is our partner on this project. Neil will present to you the first draft of the vision for Torpoint. Now, what you will see today is the result of all your feedback over the past 8 months. It's still early days in the development of the neighbourhood plan for Torpoint, but your thoughts on today's proposal will directly help to shape the plan. Thank you all for coming along today. And now I'd like to hand over to Neil to give you further details on the plan. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Good afternoon, only just afternoon. This is the second session today, so hopefully I can be consistent with what we talked about the first time around. One of the criticisms from one of the younger members of the audience first time was that there were no cartoons as part of the presentation. And unfortunately we haven't had time to rectify that, but we'll go through and hopefully there are some interesting images for you to have a look at. So the purpose of today is to update you on the neighbourhood plan so that you know where we are in the programme, what happens next. It's also to look at the emerging ideas, so the ideas that have been developed from the things that you've been saying to the Town Council over the last 6 months or so. And it's also an opportunity for you to tell us what you think of those ideas so that we can help, your comments can inform the shaping of the plan as we move forward. So those are the three sort of main elements. In terms of where we are in the programme, we are on the 21st of November, obviously, which is the start of this orange blob in the middle. We've been finding out about the plan, about the town, about Torpoint, since June, really. We've been doing lots of things, speaking to people, understanding what works, what doesn't work. And the plan from now will be to start to develop the vision into a completed piece of work, and that will then feed into the neighbourhood plan, which is a legal document. And at the minute, it looks like the completion of that exercise will be around about the middle of next year. Okay, so three main things that have been going on. Firstly, big questionnaire, a web-based questionnaire happened in the middle of the summer. And the responses to that were fairly phenomenal, actually. About 1,200 responses to the questionnaire. So we've got a really good understanding of what people at Torpoint feel about certain issues within the town. Which is a great start. It's unusual for these kinds of projects to have that sort of level of feedback, so great. In September, we had the consultation at the Carnival. Now we got we got the maps out at this point and tried to understand where people saw potential for improvement, where those things could happen within the town. So we have the big plan, which is on the table in the middle here, with stickers on it, and that's the result of the Carnival Day. What we've also been doing is looking at strategic issues through the town, because clearly there are other things that we need to think about. We need to think about transport, we need to think about planning policy, etc. So those things we've been learning about as well. So, I thought it would be useful just so that you can understand where the ideas have come from, just to summarise for you some of the key issues that have come forward through that process. So, the first one, which is really, really clear and really strong, is that people like Torpoint, which is important because the level of change that's proposed can be set against the fact that people like Torpoint quite a lot, and there are things that they don't want to see changed. So that's a really important starting point, as is the general strength of the community within the town. The bottom end of town is seen as a negative, and improvements need to happen there. The waterfront could be better. It's clearly a unique setting that the town has, and that's a real advantage. But making that better could improve the town. The parks are a sort of hidden asset. I didn't know about the parks in the town. As a stranger to Torpoint, just somebody who'd gone through. So thanks Park and the other parks, potentially there's room to improve further. Lots of people have identified where improvements could happen. Leisure and sports facilities, Torpoint is really has some very good ones, but we know that there's a strong desire in the town for a swimming pool. And that came back. You can see lots of swimmers on the stickers in the middle of the plan. Now, clearly it would be very easy for me to say, well, we'll do one of those, but it's not quite as easy as that, as you all know. There are challenges with funding and running costs that need to be thought through, so we just need to be realistic about some things. That doesn't mean to say that you give up on it, but it could be a difficult route. Shopping choice is something else which has been raised. Discount food stores was raised by a lot of people. The whole housing issue is a big one and a difficult one in some areas. So providing affordable housing, making sure there's enough housing for future generations. Where does it go? Does it go on the edge of town? Does it go in the middle of town? Creating employment opportunities, clearly critical as well. And transport, because the town and the ferry are so interlinked, clearly transport and getting to other parts of Devon and Cornwall are critical. So we've got some important issues to contend with there. Also the walks, Torpoint's great because you can walk out to the countryside, you've got the waterfront routes as well. So looking to see how those could be improved in the future is something that people are very keen on. And supporting 4th Street. 4th Street's a little bit hidden when you look at the numbers of people that are coming across on the ferry that aren't local, which is maybe 300,000 or 400,000 a year. Not many of those are stopping and supporting businesses in 4th Street. Are there ways that we can influence that? And I think a really big one, which almost affects all of the others, is the image of the town. As you come in from the ferry, the first impression that you get, what's this place all about? Is it somewhere that I want to stop in? And often the case, as I've already said at the moment, is that people just drive through. So thinking about the quality of spaces and buildings, etc. Okay, so those are quite a few issues. Certainly not all of the issues that we've been looking at have been raised with us. So in terms of ideas, we've come up with 2 plans which you'll see when you look around later if you haven't had an opportunity already. There's a town centre plan which looks at development opportunities in the centre of town, obviously. And then there's a plan which shows where development could be concentrated to improve infrastructure in the town more generally. So I'll talk those through with you. But we think it's important to have an overarching vision for the town about what you're actually trying to achieve. And we're working on that at the moment, but very simply, we think it's important to stimulate the town centre, to make more of the waterfront, to celebrate the waterfront, to strengthen the communities, and that's about having the right infrastructure in place. It's about having the right levels of housing, the right levels of open space, the jobs, etc. So that's the substance, the core of it. And then it's thinking about the relationship that Torpoint has with the wider peninsula, and are there any mutual benefits that can be gained between or within that relationship. So if I just quickly run through the wider plan with you, this is highlighting those parts of the town where opportunities exist. And it begins with the civic focus, which is the town centre, which we have set out a number of different proposals for change on. The waterfront is another opportunity where change in the right way could be introduced. What we have to be careful with is that we don't spoil the rich sort of qualities that are within the town at the moment, so we need to be very careful. The third area of potential improvement is Thanks Park. The leisure focus really within the town is around college. If a swimming pool is going to be a viable proposition, is that the right location for it? There's the potential for all-weather pitch up there as well, but it's a great cluster which can potentially generate more. If housing is going to come in, where's it going to go? At the moment, the Cornish local plan is talking about numbers in the region 350. You can't provide all of those in the centre of town, so you need to look further afield. So we've looked at the northern fringes to see if development for housing might be possible there. The other possibility in that area is supermarket. The business park at Trevol is critical to the overall sort of balance of land uses in the town and opportunities that might exist. And the other area where perhaps it's more a degree of uncertainty that we want to identify and drill down on a bit more is the future of sites around Sainsbury's, what potential could happen there if things do change. So that's more of a question mark than anything else. So, excuse me. Those are the sort of opportunities on a town-wide level. But there are also many opportunities in the town centre itself. Now, what's really important here is that we don't promise changes too easily. These things that we're suggesting won't happen overnight. There's a lot of things that need to come into place to make them happen. But if there's support in the town for certain things, it makes it more possible for them to happen. So that's really important. But essentially what we're suggesting is that there's a really important link within the town between 4th Street, the bottom end of town where the existing public buildings are, and the waterfront. And if the waterfront can be improved with a number of different projects, the bottom end of town can be a wholly different place from what it is at the moment, then that's going to be for the benefit of 4th Street. And that those three elements start to work much better as the civic focus for the town. So a number of the projects that we're suggesting are looking to try and knock those things together a lot better than they are at the minute. And you'll see there's a number of photographs from different places around the UK which just try to give you a taste of the kinds of things which might be possible. What's also important, because some of the larger projects need funding, it can be a little, they can take a little bit of time to get underway. It's important with a project for a town to identify those things that can happen quite quickly and can happen quite cheaply. So we've identified, we've suggested, some of which have come out of the consultation one, we've suggested a few projects which could happen quickly. But if anyone has any ideas for quick win projects, we'd love to hear about them, because it's possible that things can happen very, very quickly if the will is there to get them done. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. It's just a general overview. I really encourage you to go around the panels and to try and digest what the actual projects that everybody's come forward with are. There are various people with badges on from the town council, representatives of the town council. They know about the project, so they can answer your questions. I'll be here. Dan, who's my colleague, will be here as well for a little while. So please digest, ask us any questions that you have, and importantly, fill in a comment sheet if you can, because your comments are really important in shaping the plan over the next couple of months or so that we can get it as right as it can be. Okay? So please feel free to stand up and look at what we have here. Thank you.
The vision for Torpoint has all been made possible through volunteering from the community steering groups, Torpoint town councillors, and funding from the big lottery fund, which has enabled us to bring in the expertise of Clifton Clifton Emery Design.
Much of what you've seen today is work that's been put together by the Torpoint Neighbourhood Development Plan Steering Group. This is a group of about 16 volunteers consisting of town councillors and members of the local community who, with the shared aim of helping to make Torpoint a better, brighter place, have met on a monthly basis since March, working really hard on analysing the surveys, the questionnaires, all the results, attending consultation events, the carnivals, the local schools, pulling it all together into what you've seen here today.
We've had a very successful day today. What we've tried to do is present to people at Torpoint the ideas that have been generated from what they've been telling us over the last 6 months. And those ideas can be looked at online, and we'd really welcome everybody's comments to come back and help shape the plan as we complete it into the future. The next steps are over the next couple of months or so to try to get to a point where we've developed the vision, which will be a completed piece of work and feed into the neighbourhood plan.